One of the best parts of this hobby is getting out and riding some new coasters for the first time. Whether it be new construction or just your first trip to that park. I was really busy in 2021 and I rode a ton of coasters. Many of them I'd rode before at parks I'd been to many times, but also got some new credits too. Some I was excited about, others I didn't know much about. And a few just kind of snuck up and found me. It was a great year, and today I'm going to tell you all about my 10 favorite new coasters that I rode in 2021. Let's go. Two years ago, we got word that Indiana Beach was closing forever. I thought back to how many times I was within 3 to 4 hours, yet I never made it a priority to visit. Now I never get that chance. That is until Gene Staples decided to come in and save it. I was so thankful to get that news, and I finally made the trip out in 2021. And that was one of the coolest parks I've ever been to. I had a ton of great rides that day, but it was Cornball Express that really stole the show. This CCI only hits 45 miles an hour, but don't let that fool you because this thing is loaded with air. Typically, I'm always going to go for that back row, and Cornball was no different. I got a great ride and jumped right back in line for round 2. This time I grabbed the front row, and I was really surprised at the strength it packed up there. This is one of those rides you're rarely going to hear much about, but given its height of just 55 foot and a max speed of 45 miles an hour, it's truly an elite machine. Who would have thought my very first trip to the Magic Kingdom wouldn't come until 2021? I'd heard of Space Mountain and saw that building so many times over the years, but honestly, I had no clue what was inside. Later on that evening, it only had a wait of about 5 minutes, so we went ahead and jumped in line. We had a blast. It was so different, so weird, and just flat out fun. I loved all the neat sounds it made, and we couldn't see a thing. I want to say we rode it about 4 times that night. And for anyone that's walked the exit and then the queue again, you already know those step trackers were adding up fast. Some call it bumpy, and others say it's had its best days. But I say it's about as fun as they come. I love wooden coasters, always have, especially anything constructed by GCI. So naturally, Prowler was high on my list, especially after my good friend Airtime Mike told me it was better than my current number 1 GCI, Mystic Timbers. Me and my son got to the park about an hour before it opened, and we rope dropped Prowler. Unfortunately, it was down, so we headed over to Mamba, Timberwolf, and Patriot. And after getting rides on those 3, we went back to Prowler, sat down, and just waited for it to open up. No way I could miss Prowler after being so far from home. After about an hour, it finally opened up, and we got a ride in the middle of the train. It was amazing. Blew me away, but just couldn't quite beat out Mystic Timbers for me. It was only running 1 train, and by the time I got off, the line was over an hour long, so unfortunately I couldn't get a front or back row ride. Plus I've heard this thing gives legendary rides at night. So who knows, maybe with more rides and after it warms up, it could take that spot from Mystic. I think it's hard to look at this new creation Kennywood just constructed and not want to experience it. I bought my season pass for the 2020 season, but unfortunately it was down that entire year. And since they extended those season passes through 2021 at no charge, I decided to just wait another year and make the trip when it was back up and running. First thoughts when I saw it in person. It looked incredible, huge, and just flat out fun. I got one of the first rides of the day and I had a blast. The inversions and the pacing were great, even a few surprise pops of air I wasn't expecting. It did have a noticeable rattle for such a new coaster, but that didn't take away from the ride experience at all. It's a solid coaster and a great fit for Kennywood, but what makes this ride so special is how unique it is. Not sure I'd enjoy a second version the same as I did the first. Well, I finally did it. I made it out to Six Flags Great America, and let me tell you, that was one exciting trip. I was really excited to finally get a ride on this compressed air masterpiece. My first full day in the park, I made sure to be waiting at rope drop for this one. Luckily, it's only about 100 foot away, and I was one of the first people in line. But not good enough for that front seat without waiting an extra cycle. I typically like to experience these launched machines right up front for that very first ride. So I did what any coaster enthusiast would do. I grabbed the first available seat, which was 3 rows back. Come on, no way am I going to risk not getting this ride. It was amazing. The launch was everything, and I love the inversion later in the ride. I knew without question that RMC across the park would be everything. My first day at the park, I arrived about 90 minutes before close. I had one goal before heading back to my hotel: ride Goliath. The line was huge, did not care. It went quick, and before I knew it, the very back seat was calling my name, and I was pulling it down ready to roll. Another quick ride, but I was blown away. This thing hits on another level. Amazing first drop, phenomenal dive loop, stall for days, and a really strong hidden pop of air right before the dive loop. From start to finish, it's a masterpiece. I watched the construction of this ride from the day it was announced, and all the videos that posted as it opened. It's one of those rides you look at and you say to yourself, I have no clue what it's going to feel like, but no question, I gotta ride it. Someday, somehow, I'm getting that credit. And guess what? I got it. Yep, I got it. And it was incredible. That first drop was legendary, and I didn't even get the very back row. Trust me, I tried my best. But I'm not even sure it would have mattered that much. I don't know how much better it really could have been. After that, I'm not real sure what was happening. I was lost and confused. The only thing I knew, I liked it. Smiled from ear to ear the entire ride. Me and my son got off, ran back around for a second, third, and fourth ride. Those spinning trains gave us an entire new ride every time. It's legit one of the best coasters I've ever rode, just pure fun. We talked about those bucket list coasters earlier. You know, the ones you gotta ride, some way, somehow, gotta make it happen. Well, there's been a few on this list for sure, but none longer than Outlaw Run. I had my eye on this one for 6 years. After riding Time Traveler 4 times, I finally found Outlaw Run. I say finally found because if you've ever been to Silver Dollar City, you already know, and if you haven't, good luck. It's not a huge park, but man is it easy to get turned around. Either way, we made it, and I'm just standing there like, yep, I'm really about to ride Outlaw Run. Even better, it was a walk-on, a real walk-on. 0 wait, even with single train operations. Once we made our way to the top of the lift hill, I saw that incredible view overlooking the mountains, and it was perfect, even from the back seat. Yeah, RMC, pre-drop, you gotta get in the back. The ride was phenomenal from start to finish. What's weird is that I was more excited about the double Heartline finale more than anything else on the coaster. And even though they were awesome, it was one of the least exciting parts of the ride for me. It just goes to show how strong this layout really is from start to finish. For years, all I've heard, Phantom's Revenge, an airtime legend. And this is one of those moments that I'm really concerned that I'm about to be let down with an overhyped ride. You see, Steel Curtain couldn't really let me down because I'm not that big of a fan of inversions. It could only surprise me, which it did. But when it comes to a terrain coaster with crazy speed and ejector, those are rare. And because those are my favorite elements, it was a ride that just couldn't let me down. It was finally time for me to ride, and it was everything. Blown away. Think I'm exaggerating? Check my all-time top 25 that's going to be coming out very soon. You'll see where it's at on that list. The first drop was fine, and I loved this straight shot with all that speed for about 10 seconds until I hit that dive down to the river. The speed here and the way it hugs the ground could be one of the best moments on the entire coaster. The second half was packed with air until we hit the brakes. What a phenomenal ride. It's worth a trip to Kennywood, even if you don't ride anything else in the park. Come on, what'd you expect? We finally got another intimate masterpiece, and no way this is coming in any lower than number 1. This ride really is the full package. Great queue, theming, a launch, near misses, airtime, that Monosaurus roll, 10 foot off of water, everything. I've had so many rides on VelociCoaster, and it continues to get better and better. Not a single element gets boring. If you haven't got a chance to ride VelociCoaster yet, just go ride it. It's not going to let you down.